Special evening. Tonight, the Steerbutt Open Tournament Committee is unveiling a new award in honor and memory of our dear friend and fellow competitor, Todd Oltman, who left us last September. It is certainly fitting to gather tonight on the eve of our 14th trip to Gulf Shores to celebrate his memory and his many contributions as a co-founder of this great golf tournament. I would first like to welcome Tracy and Taylor Oltman. We are so very happy you could join us this evening.
Woohoo!
I will invite Tracy up in a few minutes to speak. In the 13-year history of the Steerbutt Open, we have had 7 different champions. 4 of them are able to be with us tonight, and I'd like to recognize them as well. John Dicker, Dr. Scott Osborne, Kevin Wright, and Craig Wooten. I also want to welcome the other friends and fellow golfers of Todd here tonight. Welcome and thanks for coming to celebrate this special occasion. And finally, to my wife, Laura, who has put a lot of effort to make this evening and dinner possible. Thank you. For those of you that may not know, without Todd, we probably would have never had a Steerbutt Open. Yes, we may have had some type of tournament, but it would never have equaled the rich history that we have enjoyed for so many years. Back in 1997, Craig decided we should get off the Alabama Golf Trail and head to Gulf Shores for our annual golf trip. Prior to other golfers arriving, Craig, Kevin, Todd, and I played a little 2-day tournament with the winner to receive a free meal for winning the bet. Craig won that little event, and when we asked where to go to get a good meal, Nolan's Restaurant, according to everyone we asked, was the clear choice. Being perhaps the first time Kevin and I had been at the beach for a dinner, we were scanning the large menu at Nolan's looking for some fabulous fish dinner. I think we ordered grouper and red snapper, if memory serves me correctly.
Surf and turf.
Craig, as the winner, decided he would reach deep into our pockets and ordered the surf and turf with lobster because, after all, he won. Todd, unbeknownst to us, was already working over the waitress and Susan Clark, the co-owner of Nolan's, asking them for their recommendation. I faintly remember Susan saying to Todd, "If you're looking for beef, I highly recommend the Steerbutt." I think Kevin, Craig, and I collectively and silently thought to ourselves that a steer's butt sounded disgusting and paid no further attention to what Todd was up to. The meals came and we started eating and conversing for a few minutes about our golf that day. Kevin and I were pretty excited to be eating fish from the ocean. Craig was happy because he was eating for free. And Todd, surprisingly, was dead silent, just eating this big hunk of meat. We asked Todd if everything was okay, and he paused and he just looked up from his plate and said, "This is the best steak I've ever eaten." Of course, that got our attention, and now our conversation turned to focus on Todd and his Steerbutt dinner. After some begging, and only after Todd was stuffed, he reluctantly gave each of us a nibble, allowing us to quickly realize that we had clearly ordered the wrong meal for dinner. The 16-ounce filet mignon prepared exquisitely by Mike Myers, the head chef at Nolan's, was in fact a phenomenal hand-trimmed piece of filet, and it was not some actual part of a steer's butt. And on that trip, thanks to Todd's fraternizing and risk-taking, we decided that we were going to do this again next year, initiating a full-fledged 4-day golf tournament with the winner receiving a Steerbutt steak dinner. And so the Steerbutt Open golf tournament started the next year in 1998. And honestly, that sounds so much better than the Surf and Turf Open or the Grouper Golfing Gala. And in many ways, thanks to Todd, lifetimes of memories and friendships have developed through this annual rite of spring. Todd, though, never won this event. His name was never etched on the brass plate of the SBO trophy. He came close several times, and like many of us, ended up on the wrong side of the spoils. But in keeping a positive spin on life, and because he was in sales, Todd was quick to remind everyone that he was the, quote, first place loser. And he was the first place loser many times. That sounds like Todd, right? Last April, with most all of the guys sensing that this would be Todd's last trip to Gulf Shores, we honored Todd as the all-time champion of the SBO at our traditional champions dinner. Russ Layton from Texas provided the traditional winner's golfing pullover embroidered with those words, and Mike the chef gave a rousing speech in honor of Todd. Todd relished every minute he had on that final trip, and it was special for all of us. It was a proud and solemn moment that night, but temporary and short-lived. It did not fully capture the spirit and dedication to the game of golf and Todd's contributions to the SBO tournament. And that fact is what brings us together tonight. In honor and recognition of what Todd has meant to this tournament and helping to start this event in the first place, the tournament committee has created a new and lasting award to be given to the SBO champion beginning with this year's tournament. It is called the Oltman Cup and will rotate along with the original SBO trophy to all future winners. I've already spoken to Mike the chef, and he is both honored and humble to present the Oltman Cup to this year's champion next week. The inscription on the cup reads as follows: the Oltman Cup, honoring the Steer Butt Open champion golfer, in memory of Todd Oltman, SBO co-founder. Here's what I want you to know and remember about the Oltman Cup. First, you will notice it is a silver claret jug, similar to the one given to the British Open champion every year. Todd loved England and his life and his time of service to our country there, and so it is very fitting to have a cup fashioned after a place in a golf tournament Todd likes so much. So when you look at the cup and remember Todd, I want you to remember Todd's love for the game and his love for our country. Second, the Oltman Cup is only 14 inches tall, and this cup will be awarded starting with this year's 14th Steer Butt Open tournament. So when you look at this trophy and remember its dimensions, I want you to remember the contributions that Todd made to this tournament over the past 13 years as a fellow competitor, as a co-founder, and as a tournament committee member. I want you to remember that Todd loved this annual trip, he loved the camaraderie, and he loved the people and relationships that he and all of us developed over the years. Finally, the Oltman Cup has been acquired through a trophy shop in Peoria, 20 minutes from Todd's hometown of Pekin, Illinois, where he grew up, and where Todd learned that family is important. I recall many of our trips where Todd was openly concerned for people and situations, and he led many prayers asking for God to intercede. So when you look at the Oltman Cup, I want you to remember that family and brotherhood was important to Todd, that he loved all of us, and he especially loved his family. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Oltman Cup. At this time, I'd like to invite Tracy to the podium.
About 6 weeks before the Alabama trip, the phone call started. Todd would call Craig. Craig would call Todd. Todd would call Kevin. Kevin would call Todd. Kevin would call Craig. Joe would call Todd. Todd would call Joe. And Craig would call everybody. And they just, you know how it was, the nonstop phone calls. Then there were the meetings at the driving range. And really, I had a sense that Todd did not like it when other people went to the driving range more than he did, when you guys were warming up your rusty swings from winning and everything. And then there were the meetings and the planning. I think by that time, Craig had done a lot of the planning, but then there were just the last-minute details, and they had to meet and plan and talk and plan. It was like girls getting ready for prom. Then about 2 weeks before the Alabama trip, our house looked like Golf Galaxy. Todd brought all the clubs up. He got all of his clothes out. There were piles of shorts and slacks and jackets and shirts, and then there were the clubs everywhere. And then there were 5 or 6 pair of golf shoes. I only asked one time, why do you need 5 or 6 pairs of golf shoes? Because I learned, don't ask that. The golf bag came up, and he emptied it and repacked it. Now, he didn't actually clean it out. I mean, take anything out. He just reorganized and repacked because that's the way he cleaned. Then out came the Windex and the Pledge because he was cleaning his clubs. I don't know what you guys clean your clubs with, but it was Windex and Pledge. He cleaned, and then he shined them all up. And then about the day before you guys left for your trip, all of this stuff that was all around the house started to be funneled down. It funneled down into a couple of suitcases and then that great big golf bag. Then the night before, Todd couldn't sleep because he was jumping up, making notes, and going downstairs and getting this and putting this in and everything. Todd loved all of it. Like you said, he loved the SBO. He loved the Alabama trip. He loved the golf. He loved the challenge. He loved the competition. He liked the traditions surrounding golf. But, you know, I never saw him play a round of golf by himself. More than the golf was the camaraderie, the fun, the humor, the laughing, the friendships that were forged, the sense of brotherhood. You know, the last few years, he kind of stopped calling you guys buddy and started calling you brother. I'll talk to you later, brother. I must confess, I really don't understand all the properties of the brotherhood, but I do know that it runs deep. You are there for each other, and you were there for Todd when he felt he couldn't afford to go on the golf trip, and then when he couldn't even play when he went on the golf trip. You honored him in life by insisting that he go, and by lovingly attending to all of the details of his care when he could hardly do anything for himself. This cup is not only to honor a fellow golfer who's gone on before you, but it's a shining remembrance of when Todd inspired you to be the best golfer that you could be, to be the best friend that you could be, and to be the best person that you could be. This cup should also remind you of when he inspired you to love someone like a brother. I also wanted to thank you at this time for the collective gift that you gave us. When it was our time of need, it was very generous, very generous gift, and our family appreciates it. So, in closing, I have one thing for you to take.
Tracy treats.
I don't know who you trust to take.
Not Joe. Anybody but Joe.
Here they are.
Put them in Craig's suitcase.
So have a wonderful time and have a safe trip.
Although Todd is gone, we carry with us so many memories. His never-ending quest to be the best-dressed golfer, and he usually was. His forced question to every cart girl that drove by asking, "Now, who amongst us has the best-looking outfit?" while he paraded us past the beverage cart. The way he picked up and snatched the ball out of the hole when he made a great putt for a birdie or to save par. His sweet swing with his Warrior hybrid items that were deadly from 200 yards out. His 5, not 3, his 5 suitcases filled with at least 30 golf shirts. His love for Scoops, Dairy Queen, and Chick-fil-A ice cream, probably even more than me. The way he brought attention to the outfit he was wearing to the Champions Dinner as we unpacked on the first night we arrived, usually accompanied by, "Now when I win this year, I'll be looking good. What are you wearing?" His analysis on who lost or gained weight from the previous year, mostly who gained. The way he made sure we treated all the golf attendants at the courses we played. The new sleeve of Pro V1 golf balls hit into the lake on Cotton Creek number 6 on 3 consecutive shots. His attempt to get 9 or more massages in just 6 actual days of being in Gulf Shores. The harassment and the efforts he would make to embarrass someone just to have some extra fun for the day. His insistence on Craig McMuffins for breakfast and his morning coffee ritual. His compliments that he would pay to drivers who were somewhat challenged in the art of driving, and I quote, "Do you want to see what an idiot looks like?" His ability to take over an entire double closet, leaving roommates like me to go and buy additional hangers at Walmart, although I had nowhere to hang my stuff anyway. Thanks to Craig. Craig usually opened up his closet to me. Thank you. I could go on, and I'm sure you have stories as well, and I'm sure we have so many memories of Todd. We miss him dearly. We'll miss him this year, but his spirit lives on, and we're all better for knowing him. May God's blessing be upon us all, and especially the Oltman family. This concludes our ceremony. Thank you for coming.